Tumelo, you've got to welcome everybody again. No, he's not going to welcome everybody. Tumelo.
He's coming.
Oh, he's coming.
I was getting my makeup done, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UNISA Science Engagement Center. I would like to welcome everyone to this online session. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, as I've indicated before, this is one of the best UNISA, this is one of the best science centers in the country. We are either on the move or online or at your disposal, whether at your organization or school. And I would like to even thank our participants that are from different provinces, whether it's Northern Cape, Western Cape, Limpopo, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Northwest or Free State, we are welcome. And for those that will be watching this session, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the recording. Without wasting time, I'll hand over to Dr. House, and on behalf of UNISA Science Engagement Center's team, thank you so much once again. And if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand so that we may enable your microphone. Otherwise, you can even write on the chat box so that we can answer your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think it's a very good ratio that we have. We have 4 Science Center volunteers and we have 8 participants. So I think the ratio to care is immense. But well done, team. Thank you very much. Thank you to my team that are going to sit in the lobby now. Thank you to all of you that are attending. Oh, I see everybody's coming in now. Maybe this is day 1 of school. And so everybody's just finishing off. All right. So I'm looking at the participants, and I'm not sure whether everybody participated or attended yesterday. So there might be a little bit of gap in your thinking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a summary of the competition. So the virtual gear competition started way back in 2013, and the idea was to create a platform which encouraged learning for the learners as well as the teachers to understand all the components of robotics, and then how to compete in a competition. How do you put everything together to solve a problem? Okay, so that was the vision right in the beginning, and that's already 10 years ago. And we've been through very many iterations. We started with Skype, and so yeah. But the whole idea is that you compete where you are, and you must have it easy accessible, whatever the pieces are. But there needs to be within the competition a challenge part for everybody, which is what we have done. So the competition currently is in the M3 MOOC portal. I'll show you that now. It is assuming that you've done M1, and M1 is about building a basic chassis, basic navigation, how to solve a problem, and then your passive attachments. And M2, introduces sensors. So your sensors for your touch sensor, your color sensor, your ultrasonic sensor, how to program with the sensor. So your for loop or your repetition and your decision looping, and then how to do gearing and how to do powered attachment. So all that knowledge is kind of assumed that you will be able to then solve the problem in M3. Okay, so that is where it is situated, and that is the path of learning. So when we get to M3, it's and what we are teaching in M3 is how do you consider a problem, moving from a problem to a solution? How do you consider the challenges? How do you consider the constraints? How do you consider the risks? All right. And I have, just for reference, I have put the PDFs of all these PowerPoints up on the M3 site. You are very welcome to download those. And then the weekend, that there will be, we're hoping Villani will put the recordings together and then have a recording up on the ISET YouTube channel, hopefully this weekend. All right, so that's where we are. That's what we did yesterday. So I'm going to share my screen, but I'm going to share my screen first, not as a presentation, but just to kind of show you where everything is. All right, so if you can have can everybody see my screen? Tumelo, can you just confirm?
Correct. Yes, we can see your screen.
All right. So if you look under syllabus, all right, there's your M3 document. There's your overview document and your assessment guide. There, I've uploaded the PDFs that I'm going to be talking about. So it's about the game strategy, the challenge, the debugging and testing, which we're going to do now, and then how to present what you've learned. And I've included that. Initially, the competition used to have a presentation part as well. But also we have schools that use this as part of their term teaching. And so they need to have an oral presentation and they need to have a written presentation. And so that kind of ticks the boxes for their essay that they need to write and also for their oral presentation they need to do. All right, so our competition this year there, it's called Robo Olympics. You will notice below that are all previous competitions. We've left it all there. Should you want, obviously you can't register anymore, but should you want to use that in your teaching and learning, maybe just send us an email and just tell us what you're doing. We'd love to hear from you. All right, so in this year's Robo Olympics competition, all the documents are there. So number one, you're going to have to register. There's team registration, and there are 4 categories. If your team is primary school and has never competed before, then we call them local teams. Okay. If you've got a primary and you're using Spike Prime or EV3, okay. If your team is using Spike Prime or EV3 and is a primary school team that has competed, or it's a high school team, then we have a global team, okay? And so that's your global teams. However, then we also have the open category. Now, the open category has got no limit on robotics kit that you can use, no limit on the programming you can use, and there's also no age limit. So you and your grandma can be in the same team if you would like. You are very welcome to include your grandma. The important thing about the open category is really you make your little team and you see how many challenges you can complete. Okay. Then we have a 4th category this year, and it's called Mini. And so the Mini is for the learners in grade 1, 2, and 3 that are using either the WeDo kits or the Spike Essential kits. So there, for the Spike Mini, there are the 3 documents. For the Not Mini, there are the 3 documents. And I'm just looking here, the score sheet is the same here for this one as well. Okay. And then there is a mat. So whereas for a First Lego League, it's a mat fills the First Lego League table. The virtual gear is kind of half of that. We only play on half a mat. You can either take you can do a single or a double. You can take these and you can take it to the Business Point printers and you can print it. They are about 800 Rand for a double mat. If you have any queries and you want maybe one of our coaches to print it for you and courier it to you, you are welcome to look on the registration link. There is a virtual gear email. You can order it and they will then print it, have it printed for you and courier it to you. All right. If, however, you don't want the mat, you and your team can then stick down the mat with insulation tape. And there is the field setup. It's got exact measurements of how you set up your board or you set up your field, exact measurements of how to do it, and it's all contained in that document. All right, so there's everything. And then how do you upload? Once you have got your highest score, which I'm going to expound on now, you're going to have to submit it. And so if you go here onto forums, there you can upload. So there's the competition. You upload your URL of your robot match over there. All right. There's a virtual gear robotics competition, and then we have some participants who are not participating in the virtual gear competition. They're just putting the M3 challenge, and then you can put a challenge in there. Okay, so each of those, we only want URLs, and we would also like you, when you register your team, have a team name, so that when that you're taking the video of your robot round, put it somewhere on the footage. There you have your team name. It just makes it easier for the final referees to do the refereeing. Okay, and I think that is it. I'm going to first stop sharing and then just ask whether there are any questions thus far. Is there anybody that needs a little bit more information, or shall I proceed?
We can proceed.
Okay, thank you. All right, so again, a competition is a competition, obviously. You will find in your documents, and maybe I should open one of the documents. I'll do that just now. I will open the documents after this presentation. It's all set out exactly what you need to do, what the robot needs to do. But there are obviously more field events, well, because that's sports events, there are more things to do than you can probably do in your 2 minutes that you allocated. And 2 minutes is only 120 seconds. It doesn't matter how you look at it. But you have to do the scoring in 120 seconds. Okay. No laptops at the table. All programs must be on the brain. No download cables are allowed to come to the table. And every team may only have one robot. Okay. You cannot build multiple robots and have every robot then entering a different event. No. You have to have a single robot. One robot match, no laptops. Okay. And it's very important that when you are scoring for yourself, that you have somebody to score for you and to give a final scoring, like a local referee. And then preferably have somebody do the video. You will notice on all the sample videos that we don't kind of show the whole audience and everybody who's watching the video and everybody's mother who's waving, and we don't have that. The video has got to be of the robot. Keep the focus on the robot. If you've got a couple of kids' hands in the meantime, that's fine. But no, it's about the robot. So keep your video on the robot. You'll notice on all the sample videos, that's what we're striving to do. Yeah, keep it focused. Yeah, keep it interesting as well. All right, so that is where the robot competition is. The competition has been opened from the 1st of February. Unfortunately, we've got no entries yet. I don't know whether it's too difficult, but I can't believe that. And we keep it open usually till the end of November. However, we do know of 2 NGOs that use it for a holiday program, use the virtual gear competition as a holiday program. If you want to do that, you please need to let us know so that we are aware of it. Otherwise, we close at the end of November, we do the refereeing, and we send out all the certificates. Yeah, and if you want to be daring and try the open category, also be really nice. We're also looking to inspire our grades 1, 2, and 3 to have a little bit of fun. And so there's lots of creativity there. And of course, if your team members can think of new sports events, let us know. We'll include it in our Olympics in 2028 in the next 4 years. We will have another Olympics because every 4 years the Olympics come, and we'll do this every year to celebrate our Olympics. I think that's the general introduction. All right. So that said, and I don't see any questions. I was wondering whether I should just maybe share a video with you. Maybe I'll do that at the end. Yeah, let me do that. Let me do the presentation first. And so I'm just going to, maybe if I just, all right, I'm going to share my screen again, and then I need somebody to confirm that they can see my screen. All right. Bing, bing, bing.
While you are sharing your screen, Dr. Gous,
Yes.
In the meantime, this is an advert for those that just came in.
Yes.
You are part of the ISET Robotics M3, which is hosted by UNISA Science Engagement Center. For those of you who have any questions, please use the chat box. If you do have a question, please raise your hand so that we will enable your microphone. Over to you, Dr. Gous, and we can see your screen. Thank you.
That was a quick advert break. Well done. All right. Okay. So what I want to discuss today is we've kind of got to the point where we have a robot, and say we want to do the track event, so we want to run around the field, okay, and then there's something wrong, it's not working, or we want to throw the javelin, and either we throw the javelin too far, or we throw the javelin just down here, and then that's not working. So this whole idea is testing, debugging, and then what drives the strategy is always evaluating between how many seconds does it take and what score it takes. And just to put it in perspective, if you take of your 120 seconds, if you take 100 seconds to score 10 points, or you take 50 seconds to score 100 points, then obviously less time, more points is kind of where you want to go. All right. So there's always testing and debugging, and the running of seconds to scores is optimizing. All right. How do you make it better? When a team comes in and I ask them, is this the first robot you've ever built? And have you improved it? And they say, no, this is it. Then I'm sad. I'm sad because it's in your improvement, in your testing, in your debugging that you improve your robot and you can score more points in less time. Okay, so that's the focus for today. So it's part of your implementation of the strategy. You need to test and you need to debug. And I'm going to pause here, and maybe for those who weren't here yesterday, please, 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 you cannot get a group of learners to sit down and say, no, ma'am, we know exactly what we're doing. We're going to build this and we're going to program it like that. Time and time again, I get teams of learners who write these beautiful long programs. They take 4 lessons to do it. And when it comes to like, okay, put it down, then it does nothing. Then you have wasted 4 teaching sessions. You have wasted 4 sessions of actually what you could have done. So I need you as coaches to monitor this, to say, all right, what is the biggest, you want to throw the javelin. Great. Okay. What is the first thing you do? Well, you need to put the javelin on the arm that you're going to throw it with. All right. Let's just see whether it fits on there, whether it stays on there. Then let's see whether it's going to go forward. Then can we go forward faster? And then if we're going to go forward, where is it going to land? Do we need to make it longer? So you do little iterations. That's the first thing, little iterations. And number 2, I need every team. And, you know, we as judges never look at the stuff. But I am really impressed if a team comes to a competition or a match and has a book and says, ma'am, let me just show you. Like, I'm usually standing around, but let me just show you how what this team did. All right. We did this. This is the sketch of our robot. Then we did this, and then we did. It's sad for me when learners bring no evidence of learning, and it's even sadder when they admit that the teacher built the robot and did all the programming, and that is not okay. It's not okay. So you have to, as coaches, you coach, you guide, you mentor, you assist. You never ever do. Rather, don't even touch the robot. Please don't touch the robot. Don't carry it. Don't anything it. Okay. All right. So the third column is about the strategic and collaborative engineering process. And I'm always got my 2 hands. You've always got the engineering part and the programming part. And between that is where you start applying your 21st century skills. Okay. You have to have between the 2 things. If you change something on the building, it's going to impact on your programming. If you change on your programming, it's probably going to impact on your structure. Okay. And if it doesn't, how did you allow for that? All right. So you've got to at all times know that you are building and you are programming. You cannot have somebody just build a robot because he thinks it's nice and somebody there in the corner of the classroom programming the robot who doesn't even know what the robot looks like. You can't. You can't. All right. So back to our discussion today. This is definitely a MOOC with a difference. What I presented yesterday was the preparation of a game strategy. How do you identify those little pieces that your team needs to do to identify the problem? Okay. And then the second part yesterday was the identification of challenges. All right. Yes, the challenge is only 120 seconds. It's a challenge that you actually have to do as many missions as possible in 120 seconds. Tasks are the little things that you have to do. What do you have to do? You've got to put the pencil on the arm, then you've got to bring the arm back, and then you've got to throw the javelin. What have you got to do with soccer? You've got to hit the ball that it hits the back wall. You've got to hear it, okay? So those are the little tasks. The risks is your robot is not charged properly, and I beseech you to have the robot on charge on the morning of your classes. Have somebody who's the charge monitor, and they must ensure that the robots are charged. One of the biggest risks is that learners pick up robots with one hand and then it drops. Will you please refrain from that practice? A robot is carried between 2 hands of one learner walking. That's it. Okay. Constraints. It's got to fit in base. It's got to be compact. Yeah. And it's got to score points in 120 seconds. Okay. So now we come to today is testing and debugging, and then running. And you always have to debug. First you test, then you debug. If you have to test that it can do what you want it to do in the number of seconds that you think it's going to do it. If you only have 10 seconds left and you're testing a program that runs for 20 seconds, there is something wrong. So either you can't do it, or you need to change it. Okay, it's just that straightforward. Okay, and then this afternoon still we will do a technical presentation and an engineering notebook. So how do you present your solution? How do your learners present their solution? And this is specifically for schools that use this as part of their oral and their written language, okay, classes. And then you enter a virtual, that's the small print, you enter a team. You have to enter a team. We need a diverse group of teams. Okay, all right. So when you debug, you only, you know when an error occurs. But testing, you have to identify where the errors are, and then you need to improve it. Okay, so it requires multiple runs to test something. You cannot put the robot down and it does something and say, okay, that's that done, now I can move on. No, 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 no. It has to run, and our rule was 3 times. It has to be able to run 3 times, doing from the same start to the same end to get the same result. Okay? Once is never enough. All right. And then you've got to decide what, and this is a team decision, what is the criteria for success? Okay, whether you get the optimal score or whether you have reduced time. Okay, and I think it's important, it keeps a reality check. And I think I showed you the videos yesterday. How do you want to do 4 missions, or do you want to score 120 points, or do you want to fill up the 120 seconds with time of what you want to do? And that is a discussion of the Virtual Gear Challenge. Again, I said, all the documents are available. You as coach do not need to read to the learners. They need to read for themselves. They're in school, and one would assume that they can read. Okay, please do not read it for them. They need to know the rules. Remember, you're a coach. You're a coach. You're the coach. All right. So once you have a game strategy, this score sheet is in one of your documents. All right. And I always suggest that you have, at the end of every session with your class, run the robot and score it. Have it black on white on evidence. Then you can't think, oh, I can't remember what the score was. You can remember. If you have pieces of paper in your file that says, on Tuesday, we got 10 points. On Wednesday, we got no points because we messed around and didn't have a backup. On Thursday, we had 50 points. So that's an improvement. Why? Because then we rebuilt the robot and we have it. And so you watch how it goes up. All right. So once you have, all right. Once you have your idea of what you want to do, okay, you've got to solve each part. So also what happens here is you can say, follow the line. That was Monday. Number of obstacles in base, that's Tuesday. And number 3 is the number of hurdles the robot drove over. That's Wednesday. But it doesn't need to be in that order. All right. You can go and play soccer. Okay. Then maybe your team says we're going to play soccer and we're going to throw the javelin and that's all we're going to do. That's fine. All right. But you have to solve each part. By the way, kicking a sock, you don't have to kick a sock. It doesn't say they kick. It says hit. All right. Just saying, you do not have to kick. You do not have to build a humanoid robot to kick the soccer ball, right? That's not what it says there. Okay. So once you have, say you do soccer and javelin. All right. So with javelin, you got 20 points, and for soccer, you get 30 points. Right. Together, you get 50 points. That's great. How many seconds did you use? Is there enough time to add another sport to your strategy? That's how you work it. All right. I've done this in red because I get quite anxious about this. Okay. First of all, debugging is not ad hoc. It's like not, let's just try this and then try that, and then we'll make the number bigger and we'll make the number smaller, and maybe we should change the wheels, and maybe we should try this. And no. It's got to be systematic and structured. You have to have a plan, and you have to have a documented plan. And for goodness sake, because you know what happens here, and I've also been in classroom far too long. They say, okay, let's change the number to 50. 50 is not good enough. Okay, 55. That is not working. 60. Okay. Now then we go back to 51. So the learners go around in little circles because they have no idea what they tried and what they didn't try. All right. That's the first step. Then about proactive debugging. Even if you add sounds or you pause, I like the pause thing because then you pause and you think, okay, that's where it is. And then it pauses again. That's where it is. Then it's working. And you can always reduce the pauses finally. You know, instead of making it 4 seconds, you can make it like half a second. Okay. Watch what the robot does and do not assume that you think you know what it does. All right. Watch what it does. Okay. So you debug. So that's testing all the time. When you debug, you're like, oh my word, the error has happened. What now? Okay. And usually debugging is intuitive. All right. If the robot's pulling to that side and one wheel is not working, well then maybe the wire to that wheel is not working. Okay. Then you figure that one out. Then you have the sensor's not working. Well, if the touch sensor is not working, you should have tested it before you put it on your robot. Okay. That is, you have to have this list. And so I'm looking to you. Maybe I need to do an extra lesson on debugging. Okay. You will time and time again find that the learners come to you and say, it's not working. It's just not, I don't know what I'm doing. All right. They need to learn the skills to debug. All right. But I also am aware that debugging skills take time. Okay. So start making yourself a list. If the motor's not working, check the wires. Check the port view on your screen and tell them to go through the program. Number of rotations set to 0, time set to 0, degree set to 0, speed set to 0. Any of these little things that you can pull your hair out. It usually takes an experienced coach to say that's the problem. I would say each of you make a little crib notes list. Okay, and there's a Mr. Hino video. I think I've got it here. I'll show you now. All right. Okay, this. Okay, so this is your hints and clues when the robot is not working. Here are 3 videos, but this Mr. Hino one, the problem solving in the robotics class. If the wires are not clicked in or in the right places, the robot is not going to do anything. So maybe you should kind of look at this and kind of go through it and kind of start building up for yourself. Even if you have a little list of, your own little list of things that can go wrong, make a little list. Yeah, see what could go wrong. All right. How do you test? Please test every single part. And once the part is right, then you put another part to it. Then you integrate it. Then you combine it. Then you test it. Then you do the likewise. Okay. Okay. And then somebody must document all the test cases. I tested the line follow from here to there. I tested it from there to there. I tested it from there to there. Then I'm going to put it all together. And then somebody needs to write the documents. Please keep record of everything. Okay, and take pictures of changes. The kids love their phones. They really do. All right. Take pictures of changes. So on Tuesday, we changed the wheels from this to this. On Wednesday, we added a touch sensor. Look. On Thursday, we changed the wires. Look. On Friday, we changed the wheels again. Look. All right. So you have a story to tell about your robot. It is a work in progress and it needs to be documented. All right. If we're going to get all these teams to First Lego League Challenge or Tech Challenge, where we build these big 3D robots with 3D printing and laser cutting, this is where it starts. This is where good habits start. Right? Get it documented. All right. There is quite a few sites. My robot doesn't move straight. I know this is the old EV3 lab programming, but the info that you get out of here is to be considered. All right. A lot of points down here, a lot of things that are intuitive across all platforms. Okay. And it's okay. It's okay. We're all together and you can type there, what happens when my robot doesn't work. All right. Okay. So determine what is your criteria of success. It has to run for 3 tests consistently. It has to be within 120 seconds, okay? And your strategy needs to be optimal. If you have too many missions in a strategy which go over 120 seconds, then it's not optimal, okay? Then you are taking a chance, and it's going to be a slapdash, and it's not okay. Not. All right. Again, you need time to collaborate. The learners need to talk to each other. Please, as coaches, do not go in and try to take over, right? Allocate each part to a group. It's okay to take the team, say, of 6, and those 3 do that, and those 3 do that. Then they come together and they see what they're doing. Somebody needs to document everything and keep diagrams and discussions. Keep them. Just even, it doesn't have to be Van Gogh paintings or anything. Just keep these sketches where they drew things. There is, in this year's Robo Olympics, there's a lot of opportunity to design powered attachments. Make use of it. Okay, show us where you started, show us where you ended. How did you modify what you have as a powered attachment? How did you modify it? Okay. And then obviously it goes wrong, but it is all worth it. I'm going to come back to this to say, you as coaches, watch your learners and think, what have we learned? How do they solve problems? Are they still on trial and error? Do they have a strategy? Have they been able to mitigate the risks? Have they been able to share tasks? Can they tackle a challenge? Can they adapt to the constraints? And is there evidence of perseverance, optimism, precision, and practice? All right, just going to stop there for a minute. And I'm just going to ask, are there any questions thus far?
Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to raise your hand so that I will enable your microphone for you to talk to Dr. Gouws regarding her presentation. And I see we've got a chat on the chat box. It's Gerard says, I did not get the URL to yesterday to access PDF files. Please share web address again. Thank you. So I'm going to ask Gerard to kindly please unmute themselves so that we get clarity on what PDF files he or she is talking about. Gerard? Your microphone has been, there we go.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I'm very confused at this moment. I know yesterday show just go to Google and get the instructions to build this platform for the hockey field, but I'm not able to access it. I don't know where to get it. Thank you.
Okay, Gerard, have you accessed any of the UNISA MOOCs yet?
I tried to access it, but I haven't got into it. So I still haven't talked to the people in my country. We are all busy with some stuff. So I tried to talk to them today, but I didn't get to them today. Okay.
No. Gerard, Tumelo, can I interrupt this presentation? Can I give you like 4 minutes to quickly take Gerard to the MOOC portal?
Yes, I can, but I want to find out which country is Gerard from, because I hear Gerard mentioning a country.
Okay, in Mpumalanga.
Oh, yeah,
I
from
register
the
in the MOOC, but in the MOOC I register, I don't know, I don't get any PDF files. I'm not sure if I'm at the correct MOOC where I registered.
Gerard, there are 3 MOOCs, okay? So you can register for all 3 of them. And Tumelo's going to show you on M3 under syllabus. That's where all the PDFs are. Can you get onto the MOOC site?
Okay, let me see. I got my computer also today, so I don't know. What must I do?
Okay, watch Tumelo's going to show you now.
MOOC UNISA, okay.
Okay, you Google that.
How about, sorry, Dr. Gouws, how about I give Gerard the presenter rights so that I guide him from his side? Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right, do you mind? Gerard, will you be able to share your screen if we give you the permission?
Share your screen, Gerard.
I can't share. I'm busy with my cell phone, but I got my laptop also with me.
Okay. No, it's fine. Then let's come on this part, Gerard.
Okay, when I Googled it, I get MOOC Gateway Welcome UNISA. I created an account there. And
so you did create an account.
Very comfortable to me yesterday.
Okay, I'm going to guide you, Gerard. So you did click on create account, did you?
Yes.
And then On your username, did you put your user ID? For example, you can say Gerard123. That can be your user ID. And then you can put in your full name, your first name, your last name, your email address, as well as create a password. Then you verify your password. Then you take a picture of everything that you have taken here. Are you there, Gerard?
Okay, I'm trying to.
All right. I think this is also for those that couldn't join. I mean, for those who have not yet opened the MOOC,
Okay,
this is
now
an
it says
opportunity for
invalid
you.
login. It doesn't work.
All right.
Name I used yesterday. Let me try again. Okay. Okay, I got in now, but now it says session, no session established, no two session established, and no request for request.
Okay. Let me log in as well so that I see what you're seeing. What did you say? Are you seeing the screen, Gerard? Is your screen like this? Is that a yes?
Gerard? I think we've lost Gerard now.
Okay, we got a hailstorm now here. I'm trying to get a place to take a photo, but this MS Teams, I don't know where to take a photo to share it.
No, you don't have to share anything, Gerard. You taking a photo of your details is for you to remember your username as well as your password and email address. That's for your own benefit. And then, are you in the same page that I'm at as well?
Let me see. No, I don't see. My page still say a lot of sessions not established.
All right.
Okay, Gerard, maybe we talk about you after the session.
Yes,
Correct,
yes.
yes.
Okay. I sent Mariska email yesterday, but okay. I think we will talk later. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. Halfway there, Tumelo, halfway.
I've included the email address for those who might have questions regarding this. And for those that are part of our participants, feel free to raise your hand with asking any questions regarding the presentation. Otherwise, it's over to you, Dr. Gous.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you can hear the sound as well. I want to share a video of one of the very first virtual gear competitions, but we were still with, what do you call it? Skype. You just have to confirm that you can hear this. All right, here we go. So just, can you all see my screen?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so this was, again, this is a half mat, so it's half the first Lego League table. You'll see a whole lot of cups and pieces and piping and everything. So the imaginary story was, it's about a robot. This is the robot getting a power station fixed, okay? So they've got to put solar panels into here, and they've got to move this generator to here, and they've got to fix a pipe. And so, but what I want you to watch is these two boys have got one robot and they change the attachments. That's how synchronized they are. So they use multifunctional attachments. They have got, I don't know if you can see that, they've got a color sensor there to detect these lines that it's traveling over. And they use the similar attachments, but they're all coordinated. They've got a couple of team members on this side who are timing them. So they have a strategy. I'm thinking we need to bring this one back as well. All right. So let's see whether you can hear. There we go.
Get set, let go. Nice. There you go. Yes. Come on, guys.
We'll get it next time.
Next time. Nice. Well done, guys. Fine, guys. Have fun. It's okay, you can take it away, guys. It's on. Right? Is it holding on? Yes. Organize.
Nice round.
Okay. Concentrate.
Concentrate, yeah.
Aim.
Do this.
Okay, guys. 30 seconds. Go, it's fine.
Just.
It's fine.
Come on. You can do this. Do this, guys.
Do it. Pick up that timing of the salt.
So that is kind of where the whole virtual gear started. Getting teams to do all the basics. You see, there was a powered attachment, there was a passive attachment, there was using of sensors, there was use of aim, there was using of the same attachment to do 2 tasks. And that's the whole, at the very core, that's what virtual gear has always been. You'll notice that as you go through other competitions as well, you'll see that there's always learning involved. Okay, and that's why we make videos as well, to kind of show you kind of step by step how to attack, or not to attack, how to consider a virtual gear competition. All right, so on that note, let me share my other presentation quickly.
While you are sharing your other presentation quickly, I'm going to take hands or questions from our online participants.
Okay.
Right. Dear participants, you have been very interactive today. Thank you so much for that. Let's continue asking the questions, and let's continue raising our hand. Let's continue talking. Otherwise, we'll hand over to you, Dr. Gous, for the next one. I don't see any hands for now.
But you can see my presentation.
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. So Unit 4 is kind of a remnant that came from...
So sorry, Dr. Gous.
Yes.
Just want to tempt our participants. Dear participants, please note that the presentation that Dr. Gous is presenting, it will be very, very... in fact, these presentations are very beneficial for those of you who are doing the iSet Robotics M3 units. So this is just a hint for those of you who are currently busy with it, or who would like to enroll for the iSet Robotics M3. So just pay attention, ask questions, and yes, that's it. I'm speaking in parables. Anyways, you may continue, Dr. Gous. Thank you.
Thank you, Tumelo. Awesome. So this is really the technical presentation and the engineering notebook. How do you present your solution? And whilst we have done away with the requirement to submit a technical presentation engineering notebook document, I think it is important that the learners still complete this part. And so if you are doing this in school and you have a term of robotics for some learners, and it's part of their learning, this is your opportunity to have a technical presentation document. So they've got to write something and they've got to be able to explain something. What you want is a confident presentation that they know exactly what they've done, and they need to be able to explain. a team that comes into a judging room and says, this is a thingy with another thingy, and no, it's a wheel with an axle, and it's got rotations, and it's attached with a motor, and it's got bearings, and it's this, and so they have to have the right words in their vocabulary. All right. From grade 4, robotics is taught in English. However, for grade 1, 2, and 3, we have an 11-language dictionary, which you're welcome to use if you want to teach robotics in any other language. And it's the first 100 words, and we are looking to maybe by the end of next year have the next 100 words. So that's part of it. And we're also going to do sign language for robotics. So anybody who wants to join that, you are very welcome. Okay. So this is match, present, and report. So yes, you can do a robot match. That's fine. But you need to be able to present it. A, you need to be able to talk about it. And B, you need to be able to report it. How do you write down what you've done? And it's not just a whole lot of words. Of course, words with a whole lot of pictures would be great. But these are the 6 aspects that you need to have in your report. Okay. Number 1, you need to report on the technical building. What is your basic chassis? And please don't tell me that the EV3 Riley Rover or the driving base is your own design. It's not. You're lying. All right. You need to give recognition where recognition is due. You can say for the technical build, we started with the Riley Rover, or we started with building instructions of a driving base, and then explain to the judges, how did you improve it? What did you do technically to improve the building of your chassis? Okay, it's very important that the team gets recognition for what they've done. If you have a team that is incredibly good at designing, they need to get recognition for it. Okay, and they will very quickly tell you, he designed that part, and she designed that part, and she designed that part, and then together, this is how we technically build our robot. Okay, very similar to the programming. I do not want to hear that he did all the programming. Okay, what happens if he or she is ill today? What happens if they are not there? What happens if somebody else takes over and they make a mistake? It's always got to be a team approach. So what I would ask you to do is to say, divide up. Say you've got a team of 6, you've got 3 and 3. They choose a sport, so they're going to do the soccer, and they're going to do, say, the javelin. All right. Then they have to build the attachment, and they've got to write the programs, so that when it comes to presenting the programming, they can say, well, the 3 of us did this programming, and the 3 of them did that program, and then we brought it all together in our strategy. Great. What is your strategy? We first do this part, and then we do that part. And why? Because this makes more sense to first do this and then do that. Right. Then you have logic and a strategy behind your thinking. Okay. And if a team comes and tells me, no, they didn't test, I'm like, really? You can't have written the first program perfectly. You can improve it. You can get more points for the same number of seconds. You can make it a little bit faster, then you get even more points for the same number of seconds. Okay, and debugging, there must have been something that you had to debug. There was something that didn't work well. If your robot can like throw the javelin first time, get over the hurdles the first time, run around the track the first time, nah, not even, who's a soccer hero? Not even a soccer hero scores a goal every single time. Doesn't happen. All right, so that's your testing and debugging. And you have that, you should have that as a record in your little book. All right, every week we write down, what did we do to test? How do we debug? What did we do to debug? Did we make it go slower? Did we add pauses? How did we debug that code to find the bug? The bug. All right, you have to debug it. That's right. All right, you need to have evidence of your matches. And so how do you do that is you have a whole lot, print 10 score sheets. You as the coach, print 10 score sheets and label them. Day 1, day 2, day 3. And then as maybe another exercise in your maths class, say, these are the robot scores. How do we graph it? How do we put it on a graph to show this is our progress of our robotics team? Okay. And then a report. Can we have a little report for like a newspaper or a school magazine? You have to brag when you write the article of what has been accomplished. I know this is, you participate where you are. That's fine. But write a little article or write a little report, put it in the local newspaper, say this team had its own Olympics. Remember, the Olympics are starting worldwide, all right? Brag about it, and then we can have all over all these local newspapers our school did their own robotics, and this school did their own robotics. And if you want to zhoosh up the robotics with the virtual gear mat and put the whole lot of flags along the side, we'll go for it. Okay. Yeah. Tell the world what you did. Brag. You're allowed to brag. Absolutely. Okay. This I did touch on yesterday, but I think I need to just remind everybody. So 21st century skills take time to develop. Okay. And you are, as with robotics, you are creating that environment where learners can develop 21st century skills. They are not learned, they are developed. All right. But be aware that not all learners have the same problem-solving approach. Okay, some might be intuitive. Whew, they get it like that. Some of them are practical, so they've got to build something and figure it out. Some are just so logical. It's not saying that one is better than the other one. It's just saying it's different approaches. And if you can have a diverse collection of problem solvers on one team, man, winning team. All right. And then you need to be able to think critically. Who, why do we do this? What are we doing here? The important thing is you need to have a space to think. And time again, one person gets up with a loud voice and does all the talking and all the critical thinking and talking, and all the rest say, okay, and nothing else happens. Not okay, right? Creativity, don't assume you are creative. Let the learners justify and tell you why we want to do it, because innovation is a learning process. So by exploring it, and please don't say, no, it's not going to work. No, it's not going to work. Let them try. Do not shoot them down and say, no, that's going to work. Yeah, maybe you know it's not going to work. All right? We know things. We're a little bit older, but they don't. And so it's part of their learning process. Let them try. Okay? Again, with teamwork, that doesn't come easily. It's very easy for one self-centered child to take the whole center stage and the rest just sit around and like, no. Never solo. I need to see that everybody has got a contributing effect on the team. All right. And this computational thinking, it's not about the great big program and the great big robot. Increments. Do little pieces as you go along. Do it again and do it again and do it again. All right. Okay. This was also what we discussed right in the beginning where we said, okay, so what is the problem? You have a list of the missions. They're in that document. I think it's mission document 3 or 4. Whether you're doing the mini virtual gear or whether you're doing the virtual gear for local, global, or open category. All right. The problem is the robot must complete the missions. Doesn't say all missions. It's got to complete some missions to score points. There it is. All right. And where are we going? Well, we always start at the base. It's all about the base. You've got to start somewhere. Okay. But read the instructions. You don't have to be in base for everything, for every single event. Okay. And again, there's a continuum of what you're going to do. You can choose to do absolutely nothing, or you can choose to do everything, or you can choose a point in between. It's a continuum, and you decide. And if you accomplish this, then you can choose let's accomplish that, and let's accomplish that. Right. I need you to read the challenge documents. I need you to read the missions, and I need the learners to read the missions. It's not about the coach reading for the learners. Okay, they need to read the missions, and the learners need to read. Okay, we need to have a game strategy. So once you have a problem, the requirements, this is what you write down. Tell us about your game strategy. Well, we have this problem. This needs to be done. How did we solve each problem, and how did we strategize? Again, what is given, and where are we going? It's got to be written down. This is part of your presentation. Tell us about the engineering process, all right? And again, show us some ideas. Are there some other ideas? Could you find somebody who can throw a javelin, a robot that could throw a javelin? What did you use of that? How? So that's where your imagination. What are some of the solutions? And then you plan or make a drawing or say, this is how we're going to do our own. Then you create it. Once you've created it, you've got to test it. If it doesn't work, well, be honest and say it doesn't work. We're going to change it. Then that's fine. But write that in your document as well. Okay. You have to describe it. You have to describe it. So you define the problem. Then you imagine how we're going to. We imagined that. Then we drew this drawing and we said, this is how we're going to do it for the javelin. Created, we built this, take a picture. How did we improve it? We made it bigger, we made it smaller, we tested it, we revised it, and then say, this is what we're going to use. Okay. Just to come back to our technical building, there are several parts. There's one is the shape. so the chassis part, right? You do not need a great big robot to throw a javelin. No, right? Tell me about navigation. How did you build with the wheels and the axles, right? Sensors, did you attach them? Do not attach sensors if you're not going to use them. It makes the robot heavy, and heaviness uses power. And so, yeah, all right. If you're not using the sensors, don't have them on. If you're going to use them and you want to leave them on for later, that's fine. But if you never use them, don't put them on. And then attachments. If you have passive attachments, could we get all the purposes done on the passive attachments and the powered? For what purpose? How are we going to do it? So I will think, no, maybe not say. You will need a passive attachment. There's at least one passive attachment and one powered attachment, I promise. Okay. All right. You don't need to say, we use 10 axles and 4 beams and 2 wheels and da-da-da. No, but you do need to have the features, all right? Tell me about the features. So the features are the motor is underneath the brain, the attachments come in the front and on the side. We have 2 motors for navigation in ports, and we have 2 motors for the power attachments in port this. We have no sensors, or we have a touch sensor for I think it was ultrasonic to get rid of the things, and we need a color sensor to follow the line. Okay. You can also tell us about how did you build your chassis. Tell us. You first built this, and then you put it on more, and then how did you build the attachments? Attachments usually evolve. I've seen my teams, they used to build an attachment and say it's something like this. Okay, well, it's something like this is always like a draft version of a document. Okay, and then we refine it and we make it more sturdy, and then we make it better, and then that's how you build an attachment. All right. If your learners don't know how to build powered attachments, there are several examples. Start building a frame of reference. Let them build, like for the Riley Rover, there's a cargo loader. It goes up and down. Let them turn it around. It goes down. Let them build the grabber. The grabber's not that strategic or structured. It's a little bit rickety, but then let them build something else. Okay. You can give them building instructions, but they need to build your model for you. All right. The programming. Oh my word. All right. It is not okay to have a program that goes on forever and it doesn't go. No. I first need to know what your program. Just give me a description of what your program does. A good idea is to have screenshots of your program. What I've seen in judging sessions is the learners get flustered, and then they can't find their programs, and then usually the robot, the laptop shuts down or it overheats. Write it down, all right? Tell us what your overall program is. Where did you use input data, and how's the flow? So you first do this. This is this program. This is and tell me all the individual parts, and then for each mission, and where did you back up? Tell us about your backup plan. So every afternoon after the lesson, we took our programs, we backed them up onto USBs, and 2 members of the team had the USBs for every day, and we kept all the programs until we had finished competing. All right. What is your planning? How did you plan it? We first did all this, then we did this part, and then we finished it off. Okay. A lot of writing, but it's a good habit. Okay, and it's good to document. All right. So a strategy, and I love crayons, and I'll draw some for tomorrow. I'll put it in for tomorrow. What is the robot path? Now, obviously, the line follow. You've got to follow the line. So that's your path. All right. But anything else, where do you start? Where do you finish? Okay. Give us the names of the programs. Give us which missions you're going to do, where you're going to go. You're going to go forwards and backwards, or you're going to stand here and push something. So over here, and you can make a stipple line to the soccer. It's going to be there, and a stipple line there to the javelin. All right. Add color to that. Right. I've got 6 points here. When you document your testing and debugging, I want to reiterate it. It is not a hit and run and an ad hoc process, because then you're wasting time. Okay, write it down. What is the testing and how did you test the structure? Okay, did you pick it up and it fell, so you reinforced it? What are the test cases that you used? Did you write one program and then test it? It worked. You tested it 3 times. So that's your test case. You did it 3 times and it worked. That's the structure. Then your programming. How do you test your program? You first ran it from here. then a very important thing, just to make sure that your robot is fully charged. If your robot is not charged before your class starts, you're testing with a flat battery and it's not going to work. Okay. Very important for testing. I want your weekly test scores, and there's a checklist for testing. Did you test the wheels? Did you test the speed? Did you test the power settings? Okay. And the matches and scores. So those are your score sheets that I showed you just now. They are downloadable. There needs to be a weekly score sheet. Time. You need to take time. Somebody needs to time the robot. All right. Of the 120 seconds that you have, how many seconds did you use? How many missions? So the first week, we used 100 seconds and we finished 1 mission. The second week, we ran it. We also used 100 seconds, but we managed to finish 2 missions. What was your score? Okay. And I know there was some chat. What did I get? Emails. It's very difficult too. It's difficult, yes. But write it down and say, we really struggled with this. So we parked that first. Maybe it's very, very difficult to play soccer. So we parked that idea and said, let's first do the easy ones. Your team needs to have some goals. Okay. So let them sit down maybe in the next week and say, what do we want to accomplish? We want 100 points at the end before we compete. So we need to have 20 points, 40 points, 60 points. Put it per week that you have targets. Okay. Okay, so this is just overview. For technical building, describe photographs and sketches. For technical programming, describe and keep screenshots. For game strategy, use lots of diagrams and pictures. For testing and debugging, what went well? What worked first time and what went wrong? And your score sheets, keep a whole lot of them. Even if you do 2 a day. What did you do at the beginning of the lesson? How did your robot perform? What did you do at the end of the lesson? All right. And life will teach you that stuff does go wrong. It does. But it's all worth it. Okay. And at the end of this term, or end of term 2, you're going to reflect, and we're going to have another session at the end of term 2. Okay, so what did your team learn about problem solving? Hopefully it's not trial and error. What was their strategy? How did they mitigate the risks? What did they do? Okay, how did they share tasks? How did they tackle the challenges? And how did they adapt to the constraints of the robot challenge? And did you see any perseverance, optimism, precision, and practice? Practice and practice. And practice is not you as a coach doing it. You need to watch and encourage. And then you enter a team. All right. I hope I've answered everybody's questions about the competition. It is really a fun competition. We have as much fun designing it and getting feedback. Yeah, we just decided we're going to celebrate Olympics in the year of Olympics because we have to wait till 2028. By that time, most of you would have seen your primary school learners going to high school, a new cohort of primary school learners coming in, and the high school learners would come and join the university. And so you have contributed to their future and to the development of their problem solving and all the 21st century skills, actually. All right. Tumelo, over to you. Are there any questions?
So far, so good. We don't have any questions.
Okay, on the chat?
On the chat, I am answering them.
Okay.
Yes, but we can take questions from anyone of our participants.
Okay.
Anyone, please feel free to unmute yourselves and then we'll take it from here. Please feel free to raise your hand. There we go. Lusanda all the way from Eastern Cape. Go for it, Lusanda.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues, and to everybody. My question, Dr. House, is based on, I'm hearing you explaining everything that is needed for this competition. I just want to know if is there any time allocation, not time allocation per se, but any opportunity whereby learners, they need to discuss all these concepts there to put them down that you need to know based on during their time of the match. I'm not sure whether there is a rubric that covers everything that you discussed that is expected of them to talk about, or
Okay.
whether whatever you discussed, they need to talk about and give you the feedback over the video. Yes.
No, the technical presentation and the written engineering notebook were in the original format for Virtual Gear when we did it in 2015, 2016, and 2017. However, to evaluate these is just a time consuming, and we decided we'll rather focus on the robot matches. However, the requirement of being able to present technical reporting and building, and the requirement to be able to write what you have done, is an important skill for all our learners. It needs to be documented well. And so what we've done is we've left it there as a remnant. However, we do have a number of schools that teach robotics in the school classroom and use this competition as part of their assessment. Okay, so as part of their assessment, they need to have a robot round with a score, which is their class score, but they also need to have a written, something, an artifact that they've written. And so the written engineering notebook becomes their submission for an essay. Instead of an essay, they can write that. And their oral presentation is their oral presentation mark for the term. And so how they present their technical presentation as part of an oral presentation. So it's been left there for the schools that use the Virtual Gear as part of their classroom activities per term. There are schools that are using it.
Yeah. Okay, no, I get you, but I think it is a good advantage for the learners as well, yes, as you are explaining it, because I had noticed also with the foundation phase on Explore, yes, that it helps that there will be somebody like in a group who's gonna take pictures, for example, according to their roles, and then these pictures and these videos are going to be part of their presentation. So I think for me it is a good skill as well, even though when it comes to our side doing coding and robotics for fun and for creativity, I think it is important also to focus on it, because as you were explaining it, I felt there is an interest on it that will develop the child's mind.
Yeah. And Lusanda, if you take the structure, kind of the structure that I presented in Unit 4, if you have an interview with a newspaper and you have your learners, so the one presents the technical building, the one presents the programming, the other one presents the strategy, it gives each learner something very specific to share in an interview. Exactly. Especially if we have departmental officials arriving at your school suddenly, then you can say, let's do the presentation. And then they know exactly what they have to say. You don't have a whole lot of learners fumbling or not being able to say what they want to say. They know exactly what they want to say. And we need to showcase our learners for what they actually have learned. And so that just gives them a kind of a guideline or a structure in which to present. Yeah.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And it adds when it comes to their research methodology, when it comes to the university level. Yes. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Excellent. But Lusanda, I'm happy to, if you're going to let your learners do it, I'd be very keen to listen to your learners' presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I will definitely.
Okay. Excellent.
And
thank you so much.
I feel like Lusanda needs to come during the competitions this side, so that she can see and learn and understand what you are talking about.
Yeah.
And perhaps even volunteer. That will be great as well.
No, indeed, I will appreciate to come. If you can just invite me, Tlapo, I will come, please.
You are cordially invited, Lusanda.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Sorted. Cool.
I see Solomon's hand is up. What I'm going to do is just to enable your microphone. There we go. Go for it, Solomon.
Solomon Tshwane Christian School. Hi, Solomon.
Good afternoon. How are you, Dr. House and everyone?
We are good.
On my side, I'm well, Solomon, and yourself?
I'm also well.
you.
Dr. House, 2 questions. Is the presentation available on the MOOCs portal?
It's there.
Okay, thank you. And then the second one, do we have visual gear for the foundation phase?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Can I
no.
share it with you quickly? So for the foundation phase, you are going to do Virtual Gear Mini. And the Virtual Gear Mini, let me just show you quickly. The documents are on, oh my word, hang on a minute. Let me just get where I have to be. Okay. Let's have a look what I can get in. If you look on M3 under syllabus.
Okay.
Okay, so they are under Virtual Gear Competition, Robo Olympics. There we go. All right, so there's your documents. The Virtual Gear Mini is for grades 1, 2, and 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3 documents. The competition rules, the missions, and the score sheet, and the materials and setup. Okay, there's the mat, the single or the double. And I've zipped it if you want to have a whole zip and you want to get the whole lot. But you do need to register your teams. There's a registration link. And if you want to order mats that somebody else printed for you and then deliver it, you'd need to send them an email, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you there. And then the Virtual Gear for local, global, and open categories. There are your documents there.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Dr. House.
You're very welcome. You're entering some mini teams.
Planning to do that.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, I see we have a hand from, is it Tandugulanga Ngobese? I have enabled your microphone. Go for it, Tandugulanga. Ngobese? Your microphone has been unmuted. I mean, enabled. Tandugulanga Ngobese, please unmute yourself. Otherwise, let me go to the chats.
Okay.
I see
Yes.
Tandugulanga. Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you, Nhlapo.
Sure.
My question is, are we using the same device that we received for FLL, or are we going to receive new devices, or are we upgrading those that we have? And
No.
for visual, what are we doing? Are we getting new devices, or what? Because we received
No.
a box.
No. Have you got a robotics kit?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so that same robotics kit can be used to build multiple robots.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just give me half a minute. Okay.
Yes.
It's not a device, it's a kit, and the kit, with the kit you build different robots. Okay, depending on the competition. So you can build, like with the EV3, you can build a baby robot like this. It's depending on what needs to be done. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so depending on the competition. So some competitions use exactly the same kit, and then you build robots like this. All right. You haven't got a device, you've got a kit, and a kit you use to build different robots, depending on what you have to build. But a good start, what kit do you have, ma'am?
For now, we received pieces with, it's written foundation phase. Not that I've looked into details with the pieces, but there are a lot of pieces that I think we're going to use for visual competition.
Which robotics kit did you use? Can you please tell me that?
Oh, we used for FLL.
Did you do first Lego League challenge?
Yes, we did.
Do you have is the brain of your robot yellow or is it gray?
It's yellow.
All right, then you have a Spike Prime kit.
Yes, Spike Prime.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you have got a Spike Prime robotics kit, and you're going to program, you're going to build a robot, and you're going to program it to complete some of the missions for the Virtual Gear competition.
All right.
Are you good?
Yes, I'm good now.
Okay, cool. And tomorrow we're going to show you some examples and see what can be done. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Okay.
All right. Seems to be sorted. I'm glad that we had hands raised up. Questions were answered via the chat as well as verbally. So it seems like we are done for now, Dr. Gous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It's been a good session. Thank you, Tumelo, for your hosting. And I really thank you for everybody's questions. Tumelo, I think maybe we need another session later on in the term so teachers can start sharing what their teams are doing.
So maybe we might call the session feedback session or teacher session.
I think we need to have one of those.
I see where you're going.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of this session today. Please note that this session was broadcasted live from the UNISA Science Engagement Center, as well as the other offices as well.
Satellite office.
Yes, I would like to say thank you so much to the UNISA Science Engagement team. There is a team that's behind this that sent you the mailing list, the updating of Alice, sending you the invitations. Thank you so much to everyone, and those who asked questions, thank you. To those that will be joining us tomorrow, it will be different, but it will be continuous. I suggest that you ensure that you go through your ISET Robotics M3 MOOC so that you can understand where we are going to and what this is doing as well. Without wasting time, thank you so much, Dr. Gous, and thank you so much to those who have joined.
And if Gerard just wants to stay on, I'll quickly show him how to get onto the MOOC portal.
I see Gerard did indicate on the chat box that yes, he said he managed to get the dates and the likes. So I'll just check on the email here and see how far. But I'm glad that we have the email address, so we will be communicating with Gerard. Yes.
Okay. And I see Sylvia's also on the call, so we're going to start doing technical questions from tomorrow about building and programming robots.
All right. Is Gerard on the line? Because I'm looking at his email now.
I don't see him. Gerard? I don't see him.
All right, then I'll communicate with Gerard via email then, because I see we are communicating now. It's official. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Stay well. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.
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 Bye. Bye, Tumelo.